Hi, I'm Sarah Wilmore and welcome to my Women's Golf podcast. In each episode, I will be interviewing a different woman from the golf industry, delving into their careers. I will explore how women have broken down barriers and reveal the untold stories of our sport. Today's guest is golfer Lily May Humphreys. Lily is ranked 19th in the World Amateur Golf Rankings and plays in the England women's team. Some of her achievements include winning both the Irish and Welsh Women's Open Straight Play Championships in 2019. Lily was a member of the 2018 Great Britain and Ireland Curtis Cup team, and she represented Europe in the 2019 Junior Solheim Cup. In December, Lily played in her first major tournament, the US Women's Open. And in a matter of days, she will be jetting off to America to compete in the Augusta National Women's Amateur for the second time. Hi Lily, how are you?
Good, thanks. You?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Welcome to the Women's Golf Podcast and a belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
Do you have a good day?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, different being at home, but yeah, it's nice to spend time with the fam.
Yeah. Well, I imagine you must travel a lot as well.
Yeah, it's different. I'm not used to being at home for so long, but yeah, it's something different. Just can't wait to get back to normal.
Yeah, whatever normal might be.
Yeah.
So how have you been spending lockdown?
Just been practicing and stuff. There's not much really to do. I've learned how cooking, baking and that, and I've been doing house chores. I've been doing lots of home-like things, I guess, as well as my practice in the garden throughout the different lockdowns and stuff.
Okay, that's quite cool. So you started your golfing journey at Top Golf. Could you explain a bit more about how that all started?
My brother always played golf, and as he grew up, all his friends are still involved in golf, and one of them kind of coached up at Top Golf. So when I was like 10, he kind of took me up to Top Golf to have a go at golf, really. And I really, really enjoyed it because it was so much fun up there and stuff. So that's kind of how it started for me.
Yeah, so do you still go back to Top Golf now?
Yeah, I have done throughout the years. I always kind of go back there. It's a really, really nice place to go. It's really like friendly there. All the staff's really nice, and it's a different way of practicing for me, really. It's fun.
Yeah. Were there many other girls when you first started playing?
Not really. It's hard to find like girls like my age at the time really at golf clubs and ranges, really, because all my friends, even in county, were all like spread out. It's hard to find like a couple at the same golf club, so it's a little bit hard with that. So it's always like just one girl and a bunch of boys at golf clubs. So yeah, it's different to most other sports, really, in that kind of way.
Do you think it's changed at all as you've got older?
Yeah, I think so. You always had like kids classes, kind of like where you go as a group of like kind of 10-year-olds and that with the boys, but now there's like also just girl groups where all the girls can come and practice and stuff to help encourage girls, because I think when you're young you don't always want to be with the boys a bit because of maturity, I guess, and other things. So I think it encourages girls to want to go if you know there's going to be another few like you, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I know that you're quite a long hitter. Did you find playing quite a lot with the boys growing up that pushed you to try and hit the ball further?
Yeah, I think it did, really. I'm very competitive, so when we played like monthly medals and stuff, junior events, you kind of wanted to compete with the boys and that, and you kind of learn playing like a boy a bit, like hitting it a long way and stuff. So it kind of encourages that side of the game, really, for me. Because I remember always wanting to try and hit it as far as them when I was like 11, I guess. So yeah, helped me try and hit further.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, when I started playing, I think I was the only girl at my golf club, and I remember doing quite a lot of match play events with the boys. and you'd play against boys from other clubs and they definitely didn't like to be beaten.
Yeah, I know. They never like being beaten by a girl, especially if you're younger than them.
Yeah. I think the classic for me was when I was about 11 or 12 beating an 18-year-old boy. I don't think he was very impressed.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been happy about that.
So who inspires you, Lily? I mean, you said there that there weren't many girls when you were growing up. Did you look up to any female pros at all?
Always like Lexi as a player. I've always grown up knowing about Lexi, so she kind of inspires me really because she's quite an inspirational person, like really nice person, genuine. She's really, really nice. I think she's a good role model to have when I was growing up, definitely.
So what motivates you to keep pushing forwards with your golf then?
Wanting to be on tour, and I want to be good enough to do basically to be as good as I am as an amateur as a pro version. That's what inspires me, and I always want to push myself and try and compete against people like Lexi, Nelly Corder, people really high up at the game. I just want to be good enough for that.
Well, you're of course ranked 19th in the world amateur golf rankings at the moment. So to get to 19th in the world, or I'm assuming you're aiming for number one in the world, that would be incredible.
Yeah, I want to do as best I can, and I feel like I have the potential to reach number one, I guess, but obviously the tough thing in golf is actually being able to like push yourself to achieve that. It's a lot of work to be able to achieve it. You know you're capable, you just need to put in the time and heart to actually be able to give yourself the chance to get there. Yeah.
Well, I know you're talking about turning pro quite soon, potentially at the end of this year. Have you spoken to many other pros about what it takes to move from the amateur game to the professional game?
Yeah, I know a fair bit about it. With the lockdowns, England Golf did like Zoom calls with players and stuff. Like we've had George Hall, Charlie Hull, and Bronte Lawn, people like that, and like Tommy Fleetwood, and they just said to us like what it takes to kind of like transition and stuff. But it obviously happens different to everyone because people are at the same level in their amateur game, and then their start of their pro career is always very different. But yeah, like it's kind of like you just need to like not think it's a big deal almost. Try and just keep playing your game. You're in control of you. Whereas obviously you panic about having to suddenly get way better than you are instead of trusting your game that you've done good with what you've got. Really, you just need to trust yourself and keep doing what you're doing and see how that goes.
You said there about trusting your game. Have you ever had times in your career where you've tried perhaps changing things in your swing and then, or in any aspect of your game, and then reverting back to what you did originally?
Yeah, I've had that with a few bits and bobs. I feel like everyone goes through it. It's just a matter of when and how far down the line you went with it, obviously, because everyone always gets tempted to change your game just to think, I'm good at that, but I could be better. Will I change it? But I've done it a few times with like putting technique because it's not always the most methodical way of putting. And I've tried a few times over the years, and like, I've gone through with doing a setup change mostly, and it doesn't, I kind of go backwards a bit. And I'm like, well, if I practice, it'll get better, but it never really has. So I resort back, and it's always straight back to good. So kind of learn that just keep practicing with that, and I can just get good with that putting technique. And similar in the swing, you kind of learn what's best for you, really.
Yeah. Well, I've tried changing my putting quite a bit, and it was a painful process to go through. And I think my golf's better for it. But originally, you almost feel like you've been thrown in at the deep end, that suddenly you're playing a whole new game and your technique's just totally changed. Is that how it feels like for you?
Yeah, it feels like that. It's not like the norm. Some things obviously are contradictory against what you're not used to thinking out on the golf course. like when you go through a big swing change, you're used to like when you're on the course and you start hitting it a bit off and going to this swing fort to help you get through it. But when you've changed it, you kind of need to go to something else which you're not used to. It's just getting used to what the new normal is, really.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
So you were homeschooled since leaving primary school. How did that allow you to develop your golf?
It gave me the time to be able to practice, because obviously living in England, it's tough practicing in the winters when you're at school. Because I used to finish school at like 3:15, and obviously it's dark at 4. So by the time I drove to the club and stuff, I didn't really have much time to practice like outside other than a range. So, and the year before, when I got quite low and my handicap down to 5, other parents said to my parents, oh, it'll be a really good opportunity for me to get really good at golf if I was homeschooled, which they didn't really think of. Plus, I didn't take up golf to do what I'm doing now. I just did it as a hobby to start with. Yeah, they just got advised on it and thought we might as well do it. You can always go back to school at any age and get your exams and stuff, and I can still do it at home as well. But that's kind of what it kind of we were thought through, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it certainly paid off, all that time and effort on the practice range and on the golf course. You're renowned for being quite a long driver of the ball, as we spoke about a few minutes ago. How did you go about building that power? And was it actually something you did consciously, or did it just happen naturally?
It kind of happened naturally, because I've always been a sporty person, and I've got like a natural like sporty build. I'm not very like slim built, which kind of helps. Plus, I've never trained to be a long hitter. I think it's just like growing up with the boys and always playing with them that kind of encouraged that a bit, because boys just like hit so hard, really, without just because they want to. And I kind of grew up with that mentality a bit. Yeah, I guess it's the competitive side of me which kind of made me follow with what the boys did a bit on that side of it. But I never practiced speed training or anything, stuff like that. It just kind of came naturally to me.
And is that the same now? You still don't do much speed training or gym work?
Not very. I'm kind of working on technique, and then I'm trying to fit my clubs up better, which will help me get distance, because I've gained quite a few yards in distance just by changing my swing technique, which is really helping me like strike the ball properly and creating speed with all my muscles with what I've got at now. Yeah, it seems to be working so far.
Yeah. Well, we've seen Bryson DeChambeau has recently bulked up, and he has also changed his swing, like you were mentioning there. He's become the longest hitter in the game and is performing extremely well in tournaments. What do you think of his approach to the game?
Um, he's obviously taken advantage of what he thinks is the best way of gaining shots on the field, but I'm a bit of an old-fashioned kind of player. I think I don't want all of golf to go that way, I guess. I like all the old ways of trying to like maneuver the ball better, I guess, all the skill in the game a little bit. But it is good what he's doing, because he's trying to take every opportunity he can to get really good at the game, which is good, yeah. But just hopefully it won't all go that way, just about distance, I guess. Then thinking about all the kind of like pretty shots almost, like you see in the old days, all the fiddling around trees, all the different shapes, heights and stuff. But Bryson is good to watch because it's really different. It won't be as exciting if that's what everyone does, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be a bit boring if everyone just had a pitching wedge into every green.
Yeah, I know. Everyone would be like, oh, I wish someone hit short just to show them up the 5-iron when they have a pitching wedge.
Yeah. So Bryson famously said last year that he wanted to go around Augusta in a par 67, and obviously the Masters didn't go quite as well as he'd hoped. You have played at Augusta. You're playing in the Augusta National Women's Amateur, again this year. You played for the first time in 2019. Unfortunately, you missed the Cup, but you did still get to play Augusta National because the whole field gets to do the practice round there on the Friday. What is it like to play at Augusta?
It is amazing. Like, it's hard to recognise it because there's no people, and you can actually see on the first tee, the ninth green's literally just like right next to it, but you don't realise because you're used to watching on TV with all the people. But it is amazing, really. It's really pretty. All the flowers were out when we were playing because it's just before the Masters. Course is in such good condition. And everyone always asks me, is it true that you can't really spot a single weed on the golf course? And it's true, really. You've never seen a golf course in better condition. It's amazing, really, just to walk around it and have a look at it firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, you were supposed to play in the tournament last year, but it got cancelled due to COVID. Were you disappointed that it didn't move to November with the Masters tournament, or were you not overly fussed because obviously it was November and we did hear lots of shouts of mud ball and the course was a little wetter than it normally would be in April?
Yeah, I was just surprised that they didn't move it kind of the week before the Masters like they normally do in April, but I'm not sure, really. It would have been nice to play even if you did get mud balls. I feel like most people wouldn't complain about playing around a place like that if you got the occasional mud ball. I feel like you just take playing on it, but luckily everyone who got invited last year is automatically playing this year, which is nice. And then they've added a few extra people who should have got in like this year if it was normal. So it's a bit of a bigger field. So they've kind of done it right with the invite still, which is nice of them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to play it again in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So do you think some of the pros are being a bit prissy then with moaning that parts of the course were a little wet in November?
I feel like the people who played the Masters for the first time probably didn't moan too much about it, but people like Sergio probably would moan because he's been playing around there for so long, probably doesn't appreciate it as much as some of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Augusta was once known as golf's most exclusive all-boys club, and women weren't admitted to the club until 2012. How did it feel to play in such a groundbreaking event?
Yeah, it was amazing to be able to have the opportunity to take part in the inaugural event of it. Just hopefully more golf clubs will follow in their footsteps, and hopefully soon they might have a women's Masters there, which would be amazing. But yeah, it'll be amazing just to see like more opportunities like this open up for women's golf all around the world, like amateurs and pros, just to have the opportunities to play around such great golf courses and have great venues support them. It'll be amazing to see it progress.
Did it feel like you were making history when you were there? Did it feel different to other tournaments that you play in?
Yeah, in the practice round, it felt a bit bizarre. It was a feeling you never really felt before because you kind of knew this was like the first time they've ever really had women walk around and play it in that practice round. But when I went around and watched like the tournament on the last day, it was like just like any other tournament almost, but with loads of crowds. It was amazing. All the support of spectators there was. It was nice to see how busy it was, and it was quite surprising because around the 18th green for the final group, it was literally like 10 rows deep or more. It was literally like it was at a pro tournament and you couldn't get a spot in to watch, which
Wow.
was really nice to see. Yeah, I was quite surprised it was like that for the first year it had been on.
Yeah, well, there was definitely a lot of anticipation leading up to it, but it must have been quite surreal being there.
Yeah, it's surreal to actually kind of see it happen in front of you because you hear talk, don't you? And you're never sure what it's actually going to be like, but it definitely delivered with the talk, definitely. It was amazing.
Oh, that's great. So you're playing in the tournament from March the 31st to the 3rd of April. When do you jet off to the US?
I might go on the 24th or 25th just to get some practice at another golf club to get used to like not playing in a coat and around some dry conditions. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get out there fine and get out there and have a few days practice, then go over and practice around the other golf club.
Yeah, definitely. So we're currently in a national lockdown in the UK. I imagine you've still been doing a bit of practice because you're an elite golfer. But how has your preparation for the tournament been impacted by COVID?
Yeah, it's been a bit annoying because I've obviously got permission off some golf clubs that I live at locally to practice there, but I probably would have tried to go somewhere a bit different to practice at with different facilities and the condition. But obviously I probably couldn't because most golf clubs may not want someone that doesn't live near them, like a local girl, to go there. But yeah, I've just been trying to practice as best as I can with what I've got, really. And luckily I've been able to do quite a lot, so I'm very thankful for that. That I'm able to go around the course and use all the facilities that there is at the golf club available. So that's been really nice to be able to do that.
That's good. So you've been managing to play some holes then as well?
Yeah, I've been able to play in that because I asked if I was allowed to. Cause going on the course and just practicing is a little bit different for if like members are walking around and say something. But my main golf club is very understanding of it a bit, that they just say they shouldn't moan, you're an elite athlete, you need to be able to practice for the events you're playing in. So luckily they're very understanding of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first two rounds of the tournament are at the Champions Retreat Golf Club, which you said you're going to try and do some practice on. What does that golf course demand from you as a player?
You need to be quite straight. You need to be quite precise with your second shots in because the greens are really slopey. You just need to be able to section off the greens because it slopes everywhere, section it off into like 3 areas almost and be able to hit into those. And if you can do that, it makes the putting a lot easier. So you're not like putting over tiers and massive hills for birdies. It's easier to hole your first putt and you've got a lot less chance of free putting. It's quite a demanding golf course kind of leading up to the third round. If you get in, it's very demanding of you. Definitely very hard.
So would you say it's quite similar to Augusta then, in the sense that you're not firing at flags, you're going for the widest section of the green and trying to put yourself in a position where you can two putt or hold the putt for birdie?
Yeah, it's definitely positional. You just need to think what's best because you can easily just like drop shots around there if you kind of get too far away from the hole and leave yourself like a really tricky putt, or you go at a flag and it goes into a really bad spot in like a bunker or a slope. You need to have a very good eye on what kind of clubs and what lines you want to hit into a green. And it really like takes the pressure off your putting. If not, you need to be putting really good around there.
So you had an excellent end to your 2020 season. You got to play in your first major championship, the US Women's Open, arguably the biggest event in women's golf. That was in December. What was it like to play?
It was really good. I really enjoyed it, even though I didn't play that well, but I didn't expect too much because I hadn't really played an event since September. So I was like, it's a bit annoying playing in my first major ever and not really having much choice of prep tournament-wise coming into it. But I just went there thinking I'm going to have to just think of it as a full experience learning curve for me, just so I don't get too annoyed about not playing great as I want. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And I could see like where my game was at compared to other people's. Really, I really enjoyed it a lot.
That's good. So what did you learn then from playing in the tournament?
I learned that I was good enough to probably compete there. It's just like getting the experience and getting used to playing on the courses like that, like the mentality of not always going at everything. Yeah, because the people I played with, like the Corders and Lexi Thompson and Stacey Lewis, and they didn't look too much better than me. So it's just like this is like their week in, week out kind of like field that they play against and like courses. I like to think that after a few years of playing around in America, I could hopefully be just like that, just like them playing, hopefully.
Well, you just sounded off some of the biggest names in women's golf, and you stayed up till 1 a.m. to book your practice rounds with Stacey Lewis, Mel Reid, Jessica and Nelly Corder. What was it like to tee it up with them? Did they give you much advice?
Yeah, they were really, really nice, very chatty. I just kind of wanted to stay back and watch them and watch the way they kind of worked around the course a bit, like their strategies and what they did really. But it was really good just to see the players like that up close, practicing and prepping. Yeah, I learned that I could hit close on similar distance to them. So, and that most of them are known as long hitters. So it's good to know that if I'm not that short of them, I'm not a short hitter to be competing on the tour. So it's just like sharpening up short game and getting better with like mid irons, because they were a lot better with like a 7-iron in the hand than I am, and I didn't fully expect that. So it kind of taught me that I can sharpen up quite a bit with like a 8, 7, 6-iron in my hand. So I've been trying to work on that and try and put some distance on my irons to help make that a bit easier for me. So yeah, I did learn a fair bit from it all, that I'm close, but there's just like little areas that I can improve.
Well, you mentioned just there that you almost wanted to just stand back and watch. Did you have to pinch yourself that I am here and I'm competing with these top players in the world?
Yeah, in the first practice round I did with one of them, I kind of thought, I can't believe I'm standing right next to them, teeing off with them a bit. I was like, I'm just used to watching them on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of weird to tee up next to them. Like they get called up to the tee off than me. It was really weird.
I'm sure it was great fun though. So
yeah, it was amazing.
You remember the 2018 Curtis Cup team, and you're in the GB&I squad for the 2021 Curtis Cup in September. What do you enjoy about playing team events like the Curtis Cup?
I like the camaraderie in amongst the team. I love just like the team spirit of stuff. Like you kind of, if we're doing well, you get to celebrate with someone more because we're all in the same team. Whereas in individual stuff, you're obviously celebrating with them, but feel like they obviously played and didn't probably do as well as they wanted. Whereas it's a lot more genuine and you can't feel a bit kind of sad for them a bit because we've all kind of done well together. I just love team stuff. I like friends a lot. So I like just celebrating, having fun with my friends a lot, especially when you're playing like foursomes. It's so much fun.
Well, everything you're saying there is really positive about having fun, winning, celebrating together. But Great Britain and Ireland did get beaten quite heavily by the US in 2018, 17-3. What was the team's morale like that week, particularly after you lost?
It was similar to when we started, really. We were still having fun. We were kind of messing around with each other still. It was kind of like we did the best we can. We all played. They were obviously quite a bit better than us. Plus, you probably never get a stronger team than them ever in a team like that. So it's kind of like we didn't have high chances of winning anyway a bit, but we just tried to put up the best fight we could and thought no point getting miserable about losing about it because that's not fully the point in it. We might as well have fun together as a team still. And that's what we did. So it was still a great week.
Absolutely. Well, since then, you've played in your first major championship. You've played at Augusta National. What do you hope to bring to the team to win the trophy this year?
Hopefully some experience. And now I'm a lot better player than I was then. And my game's just got better since then. And hopefully I'll be able to help put some points up on the leaderboard, hopefully. And we should have quite a strong team coming into it now. So that helps as well. And we got a great captain, Elaine, as well, still, who's played through it all and's been supporting us through COVID. So we've got quite a lot of good things in the team, which should help us have higher chances this year of winning.
So when do you begin your team preparation then? Have you been for a practice round yet at all?
We did last year, or like the end of 2019, crossing over to 2020. We just went over to the golf club and practiced in that and played off the tees they were planning on using, and they kind of wanted to get our opinion of what the setup was like on the holes and say what the general wind direction is and whether we should switch the tees round or change a par of the hole or something, just to help us get a really good setup on it, really. But yeah, I know the course quite well that it's at. I've played quite a few tournaments there, so I do know it well, and it's quite a nice golf club to be playing at. Very British.
Well, it's being played at Conwy in Wales, isn't it? And so was that getting your opinion on the course then? Was that to try and give you a bit of an advantage over the US team?
Yeah, I guess so. It's just to kind of make sure there's no silly holes, and they want to make sure there's a good finishing stretch, because they said that there would have been 3 par 5s in the last 5 holes finishing, and they were like, is that too many to really be finishing with in tight matches? And we said you could probably minus 1 of them. We probably don't need 3, but the finishing hole's going to be a par 5, which is quite good for spectating because you can go for it or lay up, so quite a lot can happen. So everyone kind of agreed that if you switched the 9s round and made hole 9 18, it was quite a good finishing hole. So that's kind of what they've done with it.
Yeah, well, 3 par 5s to finish does sound like quite a lot, and you could almost go -3 or 3 over potentially for some of those.
Yeah, they just wanted to try and make it exciting, but they thought there might be quite a few to be finishing with and quite a lot of par 5s for the course. But yeah, I think the setup's got quite good, switching the 9s round. So they said it's easier to get a lot of people watching around the 10th tee to make it the first and stuff like that. They're doing it for quite a lot of a spectator point of view as well, which is nice, especially for the TV and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed watching you all play in 2018. I did watch on TV, and it was really exciting to watch you all, and you're all incredibly talented as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So I know you were talking about turning pro soon. You were initially going to go to tour school at the end of 2020, but because of COVID, the tour schools didn't happen. And we'll come on to that in a minute. But what's been the highlight of your amateur career so far?
It's really hard to pick, but there's quite a few memories there are, playing around Augusta, playing in the Youth Olympics, Curtis Cup, playing Solheim, winning British Girls was quite high up. Winning the Annika Europe was quite high up. I find it quite hard to pick stuff because they're all quite special in their different ways. It's really hard to pick just one.
What was it like playing in the Youth Olympics then, where it was more than just golf that you were representing? You were representing a whole country, and there were lots of different sports there.
It was a really unique experience because we kind of stayed in little flats kind of thing and sharing with all the different athletes, and you kind of got to learn about their sports. And then when we finished our golf and that practice, you can go and watch their sports, which was really fun. And it's one big Olympic village they made for us. So you had a big stage to do karaoke, and you saw people performing, doing magic, and people doing tricks and stuff, and you had a food hall. It's just nothing you've ever experienced, really. It's just really similar to the real thing.
Yeah. Well, the Olympics is renowned for having all sorts of different sports in it. Did you learn about any sports that you'd never heard of before?
Yeah, I roomed with a BMX cyclist, and I didn't know what it was really, and I learned about that. Trying to think, there was a rowing girl in our flat, a tennis player. Had quite a lot of people. You had like the sailing sport there. There were so many sports that I didn't really realise we did in the Great Britain, really, but it was really fun just kind of spending time with them. And then when all our sports were like done, there was always the boxing left, and we all went to watch that as a team. And just before that, we watched taekwondo, which was quite fun. I kind of had to learn the rules for that to know what was going on.
Yeah. I'm sure taekwondo is one of those sports where even if you're not quite sure what's going on, it's quite entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I kind of thought of it as like the opposite of boxing. It's more like legs, mostly. Yeah, it was quite fun to watch though, all the different sports and learning about them. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Do you feel like you're missing out then because you're too old to play in the Youth Olympics?
The Olympics is almost like a one-time thing in life, especially the junior one, because chances of you playing in it at 14 years old and then being able to play in it a second time when you're 18 is quite unlikely. It's kind of the luck in your age almost to be able to play it more than once, that one. But I'm hoping I'll be able to play in the real one when I turn pro, and that will be quite cool to compare and say that I've done both.
Well, you, as well as playing in the US Open, you had quite a bit of experience this year playing in professional tournaments. You played in the Rose Ladies series, and you didn't only play, you did extremely well. You finished tied 4th at the Buckinghamshire, tied 2nd at Bearwood Lakes, and then tied 21st in the grand final. How did it feel to compete and hold your own with some of the top pros in the country?
Yeah, it felt good because pretty much all the pros there are like on the LET, or you had like the top LPGA pros like Bronzy, Charlie and Georgia, which was really good. So I got to kind of see how I competed on the exact same golf course as them. Yeah, it was really, really fun. It was nice to be able to play around all the great golf clubs in England as well. Yeah, I did really enjoy it. It's lots of fun and well organised. It was really good of everyone who put like ideas forward for the event and the sponsors to put on such a great lot of events, and hopefully it'll carry on and be a success through the years. I feel like it'll do really well.
Do you feel like you've achieved everything now that you wanted to achieve in the amateur game before turning pro at the end of this year?
Yeah, I feel like I have. Yeah, I've achieved quite a lot of what I've wanted to do and more. I never expected to do as well as I had done in amateur golf. So I feel like I'm ready to kind of move on and start a new platform and have to start again almost and start working my way up through all my different achievements.
What was the point where you said to yourself, yeah, I feel ready now, I want to turn pro?
Ever since I was like 12, I've always thought I wanted to turn pro at 18. Always felt like I would mentally be ready to turn pro. And I'm thinking with how stuff would go, I thought I would have played most of the amateur stuff I wanted, like individually, and had chances to achieve what I wanted. And I would be kind of had enough of amateur stuff and want to kind of get on with being a pro. And it kind of worked out exactly like that, really, that I've achieved everything I wanted up to when I was 18, which is when I wanted to always have a go at Q School and turn pro.
So is the plan to target both the LPGA and Ladies European tours?
Yeah, definitely. I want to go on both tours because it would be nice to support both of them. And the LET do play some great venues around the world. So I think it would be great to be able to play both, really. I'd love to be able to have the options of playing on both tours. It'd be a lot of fun.
And the one advantage of the LET, of course, is that you'd be playing some tournaments much nearer to home.
Yeah, definitely. You play a few tournaments nearer to home, even though quite a lot of it's in the Middle East. But yeah, they like Dubai, Saudi and Abu Dhabi a bit, but they're really nice countries to play golf in with the heat. But yeah, it'll be nice to kind of go on the other side of the world as well, like Asia, Australia and stuff, as well as just America.
You've played quite a bit across the pond already. What are the main differences between playing in the US and in Europe?
Different climates a bit, like the weather. It's quite a bit hotter most of the time. Different grasses. When you're chipping, you notice quite a bit. But yeah, there's like little differences, but every country in Europe has little differences of their own that they're kind of just like a little bit separate from America. That it's not all America in one. It's kind of like you get bits and pieces of it across Europe a little bit. But when you go to America, you kind of get all them features all in one go a bit. But yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. You just kind of need to get used to it a little bit. Just the design, like the shape of the courses, I guess, like more water and stuff and soapier greens.
Do you enjoy the challenge, though, of playing different courses and having to adapt your game to it?
Yeah, I do. I do enjoy playing different like states, because every state's a bit different with how the golf courses play. I just like playing around different parts of the world and seeing the difference and getting to learn how to play it a bit, 'cause it's a different challenge, so it excites you.
Well, I imagine a lot of people at home are thinking, this is so exciting as a 19-year-old to be traveling around the world. Do you get much time when you're at events to look at some of the sites in and around where you're playing?
Yeah, I do try to quite a lot of the time. Yeah, I do look around quite a bit of the time because I like looking around different countries, like their main cities and stuff. I'm a bit of a tourist. I like looking around different areas and learning about what their kind of towns are like and stuff. I like it all. Yeah.
What's the best place you've travelled to?
Let's decide. I really like going around Nice. When I went there, I walked around Old Nice, which was really, really pretty. I'm trying to think. I've looked around Hong Kong, which was quite cool. I really enjoyed that. And went to Hong Kong Island when I was there. We just got the train over and looked around there as well. Yeah, I can't really think. There's so many places.
Yeah.
I like New York when we looked around there for Curtis Cup in 2018. We got to go around there quite a few times. That was really cool. We went on a speedboat tour and got to look around the Statue of Liberty and stuff, which was really cool. Yeah, I enjoyed all of it.
Absolutely. So if you got an LPGA tour card, would you consider moving to America?
If I was successful, I would, yeah. I feel like I'd have a base, but I'd still have a place at home as well. I kind of have a place in America as like my standard place to go to, so like just warm up prior to events almost. That's kind of what I'd like. Go home for a couple of weeks when I come out a few days early of the event, have a base to just go to, and then travel on to the event and stuff like that. That's what I'd want to do ultimately. Yeah.
Do you have a caddy, or is he lined up to travel to all these events with you?
I've not got one lined up, no. I've never been much of a caddy person, so I've never really thought about it much. But I'm going to have to get one really if I'm going to be on the LPGA, because you kind of need one, but I'll have to find someone.
So you're one of those that enjoys being in control and being able to figure out the yardages yourself?
Yeah, I like doing it all myself, yeah. So I kind of don't trust what they do a bit, so I'd have to do it myself anyway at first until I'll get used to it a bit more and know that they can do it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you're playing at Augusta then, if you could only play with 3 other people there, so your dream four-ball at Augusta, who would it be?
Tiger Woods, obviously. I don't know. I like Jordan Spieth, and then maybe Lexi Thompson. That would be my ultimate, I think.
Yeah, you could do girls v boys.
Yeah, girls v boys.
Was Tiger Woods quite a big idol for you growing up?
Yeah, he was, because my brother who got me into golf was a massive Tiger fan, because he grew up in the Tiger era when he was like at his peak. So he gave me his old Tiger Woods book that he used to use for himself to help teach me like short game stuff, because my brother was like self-taught, so he just learned from the book, so he gave it to me to help me practice and stuff. Yeah, so we still have the book at home still. Yeah, it's really good.
That's quite interesting that you said that, because you've not had much interference with your swing either, have you?
Not massively, only like recently I've been doing it, but I've tried to keep it natural quite a lot and just go with the flow a bit.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're quite a natural golfer then?
Yeah, I am. I'm very natural. I'm just really old fashioned, aren't I? Just kind of go with the eye a bit. Natural, really natural, not over technical, really. I'm kind of like Rory a bit, like mentality, kind of see it, feel it, then do it. Don't overthink it once you get the idea of what you want to do.
Do you think that's part of the reason then that you like to be in control with the yardages and you don't really like too much interference from a caddy, is that you are more of a feel player as opposed to relying on data and statistics and science?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of like track plans and stuff. I'd rather just look at the ball and see what that's doing, and then I'll just think about what my swing's doing to create that shot instead of looking at the numbers. And I always like, once I make my decision on what I'm going to do, I'll do it. I don't want to like discuss it much, really, unless I'm a bit indecisive on it. So that's why I'm not always a big caddy person, because once I've got the yardage and know where the flag is on the green, I've pretty much made my decision and I want to get on with it. I don't want to get stalled on hitting it a bit and think about the other options of it when I feel quite confident in that club.
So what would be your advice then to young girls that are just starting out in the game?
Have fun, play games, don't take it seriously, just compete against the boys, playing competitions, because I just always played in every competition, having fun, really. Any event, really, I did at my golf club, because I didn't do it to take golf seriously and be like a top player. I just did it because I like sport and I wanted something to do. That's the only reason I took up golf. And yeah, I'm where I am.
Well, we hear from some of the top pros that once they take their golf more seriously, it is more of a career as opposed to a hobby, and some of the fun can disappear. It doesn't sound like that's really happened with you. Are you still enjoying it just as much as when you started?
Yeah, I enjoy it just as much and more. It's really nice that you get to travel around the world and make friends with people from other countries to enjoy it with. Yeah, I love it just as much as ever and more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure it'll be even more exciting when you take that next step in your career.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Yeah.
So thank you so much for chatting with me, Lily. I really enjoyed hearing from you, and it's so great to hear about your journey through golf and the next stage that you're about to take at the end of this year. Who would you like to see come on the podcast next?
I don't know, Alice Hewson, if you've not had her yet. She'll be a really good person to talk to. She's quite willing to talk on these kind of things because she's been on a couple of my podcasts, even though she just turned pro and I know her well, but she's really got some good insights in the pro game. Yeah.
Well, I've seen Alice play quite a lot and I've watched quite a few interviews with her, and she definitely seems like a very bubbly person.
Yeah, she's a great person to talk to, very open, because she was only a rookie last year, so she'll have some good insights on the LET and a bit on playing in America, and she went to American college as well. So she's got a lot of different insights to me, which will be good.
Yeah, great. Well, you've obviously played a lot with Alice as well. Did you ever partner up much for foursomes or four ball or anything?
Yeah, we did in the 2018 Curtis Cup, and then in 2019 when we played like European team championships, we played foursomes together. We've never won, but we always play well. We just never quite win, which is a bit annoying because we always look good on a stroke play scorecard, but the people we play against are always just that little bit better than us, which is annoying.
Do you think it's because you're such a strong pair, though, like you said on paper, that you're almost thrown in the deep end and you're put in that position where you're probably playing against the strongest team from the other side?
Yeah, that's what always happens. We're like the strongest pairing from England, so then we get thrown with the strongest pairing from the other country, which makes it really tough on us, yeah.
It's a good challenge, though.
Yeah, it's good. Challenges us both.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I'm sure you'll get to see a lot more of Alice when you turn pro as well, because obviously she's playing on the Ladies European Tour.
Yeah, she's working to get towards LPGA too, as well as me, so we can both do that journey together.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to watching you on your journey. Thank you so much, Lily.
Thank you for having me. It was really good.
It was brilliant chatting to Lily today. She has achieved so much in her amateur career, and I would like to wish her the best of luck at Augusta in a few weeks. Alice Hewson, whom Lily mentioned at the end, finished tied 10th at Augusta in 2019, and I would love to have her on the podcast. Thank you for listening, and if you like what you heard, subscribe, rate the podcast and give it a 5-star review. Keep listening for new episodes of the Women's Golf Podcast every other Monday with me, Sarah Wilmore.